Okay, good afternoon. Today's shir is Eil Nishmas Ovi Moiri, my father, of Pesach Moshe ben Ephraim. Zechet Salig Evracha. And is also the grandfather of Batsheva, Eil Nishmat Refoel ben Moshe. Eil Nishmato. Rav Chaim Kanevsky said when you're giving a Yotzai cheer for someone, you should mention the person's name except for a parent. Yiddish David, he said for a parent, you don't have to mention the name. Because whatever a child does for a parent, the reward automatically accrues. So Chaim Kanevsky said, I didn't have to mention my father's name. It's automatically for Pesach Moshe ben Ephraim. Because whatever a child does in this world, the benefit, the hana, how do you say hana in Hebrew, in English? The pleasure, the neshama gets it automatically. You don't even have to mention the name. According to Chaim Kanevsky Shlita. Today we're going to speak about the book of Yona. Yona's dilemma is God Jewish? But before we get to that, Kol Nidre, we begin Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year. We begin with Kol Nidre. We annul our vows. I mean, we commit many sins throughout the year, obviously. So why do we pick on Kol Nidre? I think there's worse sins than breaking your word. Speaking Lashon Hara, or maybe even pig, is worse than maybe breaking a vow. Why do we pick on Kol Nidre for? All the vows that I made and I didn't keep, what about all the other sins? Why do you pick off Yom Kippur? You start off with the sin of breaking. It's a very serious sin to break your word. But there are other sins. So why dafke Kol Nidre? So the Zohar says something amazing. Every sin that you do, you're also breaking your vow. Because we all vowed Na'aseh v'Nishma. We all vowed Na'aseh v'Nishma. We promised to keep the Torah. If you were not there in body, we were certainly there in spirit. So every sin involves what? Breaking your vow. And therefore the Zohar says that sin, everyone is guilty of that. I didn't eat pig and I didn't eat shrimp. Right? But every time I do another Aveira, I'm also what? Breaking my vow. What vow? Na'aseh v'Nishma. We all swore to keep the Torah. So any sin that you do also involves breaking your vow. And therefore, on the Day of Atonement, we begin with a sin that all of us commit. Which is what? Breaking our word. Because every sin you do, you also broke your vow of Na'aseh v'Nishma. Wow. Now, it's very strange that we sing the Slichot. Chatanu lefanecha, rachem aleinu. Batsheva, I should be hiding my head in the sand. What am I singing? Chatanu lefanecha, rachem aleinu. And the Oshamnu, Oshamnu. I'm a low life, no good bum, Bogadnu. I'm a traitor, die. The Barni Dofi, I spoke Lashon Hara, Gazalnu. I'm a low life thief. What are you singing about? You should be hiding your head in shame mark, right? So what are you singing? Says the Chassam Sofer, because the Gemara in Yuma, page 86, says, Gedoyle tshuva mehava, shes donot nasalo k'schuyot. You do tshuva because you love God, then that very sin becomes a win. Isn't that something to sing about, Mark? If I can turn a sin into a win through tshuva mehava, and therefore I am singing the Chatanu lefanecha, says the Chassam Sofer, how much God loves me that I can what? Rejuvenate my sin and turn my sin into a win, and that's something to sing about. And therefore we sing the Slichot. Now, Yom Kippur morning, the reading of Yom Kippur morning, we read about the Kohen Gadol and the Holy of Holies, the holy service of Yom Kippur that only Kohen Gadol can do. So that makes sense, Yom Kippur morning, and I read that. But Yom Kippur afternoon, we read something very strange. We read a parsha of Gilead Ayot. What does that mean? Sexual immorality. What does it got to do with Yom Kippur? Why Yom Kippur afternoon we read the parsha of Gilead Ayot for? I mean, sexual immorality, who has koyach to sin? Even if you wanted to sin, who'd want to sin with you? You don't smell that good, right? You have no koyach anyway. So why do you read the parsha of Gilead Ayot Yom Kippur afternoon. What has it got to do with anything? Yom Kippur morning, I understand. I read the Parsha of the Kohen Gadol on the Holy of Holies. But the Parsha of Arayot in the afternoon, what has it got to do? So Rav Soloveitchik says something amazing. He says, in life, you cannot be stuck in neutral. If you're not in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, then Chas v'Sholom, you can wind up in Gilead Ayot. There's no neutrality in life. If you're not progressing, you're automatically what? Regressing. Isn't that amazing what Rav Soloveitchik says? You can't be complacent when it comes to spirituality. Eza oshya samech bechelkoi, to happy with your lot, that's in what? In physical matters, in possessions, right? But who said greed is good? Who said greed is good? Gordon Gekko, right? Is greed good? Huh? Is greed good? Greed. Is greed good? It depends. In physical matters, greed is terrible. But in spiritual matters, greed is good. Sameach bechelko in spirituality, that's a rasha. Sameach bechelko is only in what? In Gashmiut, but in Ruchnius? Osuliyot sameach bechelko. You have to be greedy. Rav Soloveitchik said, if you're not in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Yom Kippur morning reading, then a person can wind up with Gilead Ayot Parsha. There's no status quo in the spiritual matters. Therefore, Yaakov was shown a ladder in his dream. Nobody takes a coffee break in a ladder. Do they? If you're not climbing up the ladder, you're automatically climbing down the ladder. And that's how Rav Soloveitchik explains the Jewish people, 40 years after they left Egypt, they began to commit sexual immorality with the wild Moabite women. How could they do that? 40 years after the Exodus, seeing all the great miracles, right? Man from heaven, Dan quail, donuts from heaven, splitting of the Red Sea, God speaking to them. How could they commit this immorality with the wild Moabite women? How? Because the Torah says, Vayeshev Yisrael Bashitim. Vayeshev.
They worked in the desert, man.
Vayeshev means they began to become complacent. In spiritual matters, if you rest on your laurels or become complacent, then it's a slippery slope to the wild Moabite women. And the opposite, the greater a person is, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. So since they were so great spiritually, once they let down their guard, they began to rest on their laurels. Vayeshev Yisrael Bashitim, Vayeshev Nebuch. You grow complacent, then it's a slippery slope all the way to the disco of the wild Moabite women. So the greater a person is, the more he has to what? Be on guard and not rest on his laurels. Sameach bechelko is only in Gashmius, but in Ruchnius, you should always be greedy. The ladder. If you're not climbing up, you're automatically climbing down, right? This week's Parsha, Vayelech, Shabbos Shuva, Vayelech. Where's Rashi? Where is Moshe going? Vayelech Moshe. Moshe went. Probably the strangest Rashi in all of Chumash. The Rashi never comments unless something is bothering him. It says Vayelech Moshe. How do you know something's bothering him? Because he comments. Rashi writes one word, V'gomer. V'gomer. What does that mean? Etc. So what's bothering Rashi, and what does he say, V'gomer? Vayelech Moshe. What's bothering Rashi is, where's Moshe going? In 5 minutes he's going to be dead. He's about to die. Where is he going? And when a person dies, it's all over. So where's Vayelech Moshe? So Rashi says V'gomer. The Gemara says in Sof Masechta Brachot, Tzadikim ein lehem minucha afila ba'olam haba. A tzadik even in olam haba, he keeps what? Moving on up. But how? Vayelech Moshe V'gomer. When Moshe died, it's not the end of the story. What does V'gomer mean? Etc., etc. There's a pasuk in Isaiah 51, Va'osim devorai b'ficha lintoya shamayim. Our job is to plant heaven on earth. Our tafkid is to plant heaven on earth, God tells Isaiah. That will continue to pay us dividends in Olam Haba. The positive forces that we set in motion. lives beyond our physical lives, right? Moving on up, the role model, our children, our Talmidim, our friends. So vayelech Moshe v'gomer, tzadikim ein lehem menucha afila ba'olam haba. It ain't over until it's over. So that's vayelech Moshe, says Rashi v'gomer. It's not the end of the story. Tzadikim keep moving up. The Talmidim that they leave, the children that they leave, the good deeds that they planted. L'ntoya shamayim, says Isaiah. We plant heaven on earth, so the forces that we set in motion, the mitzvot, the good deeds, continues to live on and moving us even in Olam Haba as well. And therefore it says, Vayelech Moshe, Shabbos Shuva. Isaiah 55 says, Dirsh Hashem b'yimotzoi, seek God when he may be found. Call him when he's close. When is God close? During these 10 days. During these 10 days, Rav Soloveitchik says, God in search of man. The rest of the year, we're in search of God. But during these 10 days, God is in search of us. The word machzor, why do you say machzor, the prayer book? What does machzor mean? Lachzor. Machzor from the word cycle. We keep returning to these 10 days. Aseret Yemei Tshuva. Every year, where God is searching for us, looking for us to come close to Him. There's an amazing pasuk in Parshas Kisisa. We'll be reading it Mincha time. In Parshas Kisisa, God teaches Moshe the Yid Gimel Midas Harachamim, the 13 attributes of mercy. And one of them, we'll be reading it Mincha time, Notze Chesed La'alofim. God preserves Chesed for thousands. Whose chesed does God preserve? The very strange Rashi. Rashi says, Sha'adam oseh lefanav. We do chesed for God. Say what? Little old me? Rashi says in Parshas Kisisa, Notze chesed la'alofim, says Rashi, Eze chesed, Sha'adam oseh lefanav. Every time I do an act of chesed for a fellow Jew, God says you're doing a chesed for whom, Rav Pesach? Rashi in this week's parsha. The parsha we're going to read, the Kisisa. We do a chesed for a fellow Jew. God says you do the chesed for me. Sha'adam oseh lefanav. And therefore, which sin is worse? A sin between man and God or between man and man?
Man and man.
Man and man is worse. How do we know it's worse?
Because it's both.
Who said that? It's a twofer. When you sin against God, you sin against God. When you sin against a fellow Jew, you sin against your fellow Jew and his tzelem Elohim and his chelik Elohim imal.
And also Hashem always forgives you.
Right.
For a man to forgive you.
That's right. And Rav Soloveitchik points out an amazing Rambam that a sin between man and man is much worse. The Rambam in Hilchos Tshuva says something amazing. He says when you sin bein Adam lamakoim, when you sin between God, and you do vidu, you say, Ana Hashem chatasi lefanecha. God, I have sinned in front of you. God is not affected. If we sin against God, we don't put on tefillin, or we eat pig, chas v'sholem, or we wear shatnas, chas v'sholem. Chatasi lefanecha. God is not affected. Who's affected? We are. So therefore you say, Chatasi lefanecha, I sin in front of you, but you're not affected. But if you sin against a fellow Jew, Hachote lechavero, umet chavero, maybe asara, you take 10 people to his grave, you sin against a fellow Jew and he's dead. You take 10 people to his grave and you say, Chatasi l'Hashem, I sinned against the guy, but first of all I sinned, the Chatasi l'Hashem, v'laploini. Not lefanecha, but sin between man and God, God is not affected. But when you sin against a fellow Jew, Rav Soloveitchik points out, the Rambam says, Chatasi l'Hashem. You sin against a fellow Jew, you sin against God, because imo anochi b'tzara. When you hurt the fellow Jew, who are you hurting? God. So therefore, it's twice as bad to sin against a fellow Jew. Chatasi l'Hashem, ulaploini. First, Chatasi l'Hashem. Now, it's a couple of days before Yom Kippur, right? Did you hear the story about Mrs. Levy? No, from Miami, Florida? Now, all my stories are true, but some did not happen yet. It's a few days before Yom Kippur. Mrs. Levy from Florida flies off to India. She has to see the Grand Guru. So they said, lady, the guard says, listen, lady, you can't see the Guru. You need 6 months waiting time to see the Guru. She said, I must see the Guru. I can't wait. The guards won't let her in. 6 months, put your name on the list, come back in 6 months. She won't take no for an answer. She tears herself away from the guards. She runs into the mansion.
Great.
The Guru. He says, Izzy, my son, come home. No one sings Kol Nidre like you do. Don't you get it? Right? Unfortunately. But the Gurus, right? Now, it's an amazing, the Vilna Gaon and Rabbi Yona say, the purpose of the mitzvahs of the Torah is to cause simcha to a fellow Jew. The Vilna Gaon, Rabbi Yona says that the reason for the mitzvot of the Torah is to bring simcha to another Jew. That's the purpose of the Torah. A timely smile or a compliment can have a major impact when someone's having a bad hair day. And you smile on him or give him a compliment, you can turn his life around. You know, people have gemachim. There should be a gemachim for smiles. And it doesn't cost any money, right, Yehuda? A gemach for a smile, but some people, like they're constipated, they can't smile. You smile on somebody, you're giving him simcha. You're changing his world, and it doesn't cost any money. It doesn't cost any money to cheer up a Jew, to make him happy. It's a Gemara in Tainus, page 22. Who's a Ben Olam Haba? A comedian. A Ben Olam Haba. You make people happy, you cheer them up. Gemara in Tainus, page 22 says you're a Ben Olam Haba. Now, we have 3 weeks now from Rosh Hashanah to Shana Rabbah. A Yemei Slicha v'Kapara. But there's another 3 weeks that we just went through this past summer. From the 17th of Tammuz to Tisha B'Av is also 3 weeks. It's also Yemei Slicha. And therefore, in Yom Kippur, we take 2 identical goats. One for Hashem and one for Azazel. The Hashem represents the 3 weeks from Rosh Hashanah to Shana Rabbah. But the Azazel goat represents the 3 weeks from the 17th of Tammuz to Tisha B'Av. That mourning and suffering is also a kapara. The black fast of Tisha B'Av, the Azazel, just like the white fast of Yom Kippur, a tale of 2 fasts. The black fast and the white fast, just like the white fast atones, the black fast of Yom Kippur, the black fast of Tisha B'Av is also a kapara. Both fasts are identical, even though the Mishnah says that Yom Kippur is the happiest day in the Jewish calendar. Yeah. And Tisha B'Av is the saddest day in the Jewish calendar. Yet we celebrate them both the same way. Isn't it bizarre that we celebrate the blackest day on the Jewish calendar, Tisha B'Av, the same way we celebrate Yom Kippur, which is the happiest day in the Jewish calendar? Why celebrate them the same way? Well, that's the Soyel Hashem, Soyel Azazel. Soyel Hashem is the white fast. Soyel Azazel, the goat that goes, the scapegoat for Hashem and the scapegoat that goes over the cliff. Even Azazel, even suffering and sin, suffering acts as a kapara. There's a pasuk in Koheles chapter 7, Zeh l'umat zeh osur lehim. This parallel that God created. God created good, but God also created evil. There's a pasuk in Isaiah 45, Yotze or Bore Choshech, Ose Shalom Bore Ra. Ani Hashem Osa Kol Eleh. God tells Isaiah that he also creates evil. That's the Soyel Azazel. And therefore, the Mishnah says in Menachot, that the 2 goats of Yom Kippur, one holds up the other. You can't bring one without the other. If you have a Soyel Hashem, you don't have a Soyel Azazel, you can't mark with the Soyel Hashem. And if you ain't got the Soyel Azazel, you can't bring the Soyel Hashem either. You have to have both. In order to appreciate good, you must contrast it with what?
Yeah.
With evil. Because if you don't have the evil, you don't know what Tov is.
That's good.
So therefore, you need the Soyel Hashem and the Soyel Azazel. The white fast of Yom Kippur and also the black fast of Tisha B'Av also acts as a kapara. That even the tzoris in life somehow is part of God's plan, even though we don't understand it. But in order to appreciate the Tov, you must contrast it with the Ra. Otherwise, a person won't know what Tov is. Yom Kippur is the happiest day in the Jewish calendar, says the Mishnah. It's the day when God married us. He gave us the Luchas Achroinos, B'yoim Chasinasoi, Zu Matan Torah. Says the Bartanura, Yom HaKippurim. When God gave us the second tablets, was Yom Kippur, the happiest day on the Jewish calendar. The Pasuk says, V'initem et nafshoteichem. You shall afflict your souls. The soul is afflicted, Batsheva. The soul couldn't care less. It should say, V'initem et aguf shelachem. Your bodies are afflicted. V'initem et nafshoteichem. Right? The soul is not being afflicted. It's the guf. It should say, V'initem et aguf shelachem. How comes V'initem nafshoteichem? Says the Ramchal something incredible. The word V'initem means afflict, but there's the same word in Pashas Kitavo. When the farmer brings Bikurim, V'nito v'yamarto, the farmer has to sing praises that he lives in Pisgat Zev, in Rechavia. So the word V'initem means afflict. The word V'nito means to sing. So Ramchal says, how could it be one word has two opposite meanings? It says, V'initem et nafshoteichem. Let your neshama sing. One day a year, the neshama shines. The rest of the year, who cares about the neshama? Right? It's the body. Feed me, feed me, feed me. Who thinks about the soul? One day a year, the neshama gets what? Front and center.
Star billing.
Star building. V'initem et nafshoteichem, says Ramchal, let your neshama sing. One day a year, what are you saying? I'm a soul man. Don't confuse me with my body. That's not me. I'm a godly soul. V'initem et nafshoteichem. So when the body is afflicted, the neshama is singing. The word v'initem means to afflict. V'nisa means to sing. Why is it the same word, Rabbi Yaakov? Why? Because when the body is afflicted, the neshama is singing. Why? Because when the body is afflicted, that's the Clorox bleach that cleanses the neshama. When the body is hungry and thirsty and tired, the neshama is getting her tikkun, is getting her cleansing. So therefore she sings. When the guf is suffering, the body, the neshama is singing because she's getting purified. V'initem et nafshoteichem. One day a year, you allow the neshama to what? To sing, to shine, to say that I'm a soul man. Don't confuse me with my guf.
Doesn't she sing on Tisha B'Av as well?
On Tisha B'Av, no, she's crying on Tisha B'Av.
What about today?
On Tisha B'Av, right?
Today?
Today is a fast day of Tzom Gedalia. It's a mournful fast. Unlike Tisha B'Av, which is a happy fast. Today is a mournful fast.
Would you mind asking
But even the mourning is also kapara. What?
Would you mind asking my soul if I could have a cup of coffee?
Uh-huh. No, right? So, let's speak about the book of Yona. If you take a look at your source sheets, Yona.
Side one or side two?
Side 1.
No, sorry.
No.
Oh, side 1.
Side two.
No, side 1. Don't mix me up. I'm mixed up enough. Side 1. See, it says side 1.
Yeah.
Now, Yona's dilemma is God Jewish? Where was Yona running? Why was he running? And you see that he built himself a sukkah, no less. What's it all about? And what is the kikiyon? You know what a kikiyon is? It's a castor oil plant. Do you know that? Why do we need to know that Yona had a castor oil plant? What's the message?
He really did.
Didn't your mother give you castor oil when you were a kid? Right?
Did he really have it?
Yes, we'll read it. We'll take a look. We'll see. Now, what was Yona's problem, and where was he running, and why was he running? And why do you read the book of Yona on Yom Kippur?
That's a big question.
Why? Yom Kippur is a day of tshuva for Am Yisrael. You know, Rosh Hashanah is a universal judgment day. The Mishnah says that Rosh Hashanah is a universal judgment day. Therefore, the Rish says Rosh Hashanah is 2 days. One day God judges us, and the second day He judges the EU or the UN. But Yom Kippur is only for what? Ray? For Am Yisrael. Unlike Rosh Hashanah, which is a universal judgment day, Yom Kippur, the Torah says in Pashas Emor Yehud, is what? Aleichem, only for you. So why do you read the book of Yona that deals with tshuva of goyim? You hear the question?
Yes.
So the Radak says, how do you say kal v'chomer? It's a kal v'chomer. Madach goyim who have no Yom Kippur, and God is willing to forgive them if they do tshuva. Alachas kama v'kama, Yidden who do have a Yom Kippur, how much more is God willing to what? To forgive us. So it's a shot in the arm. How do you say that in English? It's chizuk. That no Jew should feel forlorn, despair. The book of Yonah, it's pagans. They have no Yom Kippur. And God will accept their tshuva without a Yom Kippur. How much more is God willing to accept my tshuva that I do have Yom Kippur? So it's a shot in the arm. What?
Hence you only have to go to shul once a year, no kippur, right?
No. So that's why we read the book of Yonah to give a chizuk that even non-Jews who don't have Yom Kippur, they can do tshuva. Certainly a Jew who has Yom Kippur, who the day itself atones. And that gives us chizuk. But let's take a look why Yonah didn't want to go to Nineveh, and why should I care he didn't want to go to Nineveh, and why should I care that God made a castor oil plant grow over his head. This took place 2,900 years ago. Why should I care? We know the Torah is not history. The Torah is what? GPS.
But how did he live in the stomach of a whale?
Oh, so we'll talk about that. It was a miracle, of course. And why? Moby Dick? Why? We'll talk about it. What? But let's take a look at side number 1, source number 6. Now, Masechta Sukkah. See source number 6? Masechta Sukkah, Shivim Por. On Sukkot, the Jews brought 70 bulls. That's no bull. We brought 70 bulls on Sukkot. Why did we bring 70 bulls on Sukkot? 70, so source number 6, 70 bulls were offered on Sukkot, corresponding to what? The 70 nations, to atone for them so that rain shall fall throughout the world. This is because on Sukkot, we are judged for what? For water. Therefore, Nisach HaMayim B'chag. Therefore, the Kohen poured what? Water on what? On the Mizbeach. The Mishnah says in Sukkah, whoever didn't see the Nisach HaMayim B'chag never saw joy in the world. What's the big deal? The Kohen took a little bit of water and he poured it on the Mizbeach, and the rabbis went wild with Simcha. They became entertainers like on the Ed Sullivan show. That's what it says in Sukkah. They juggled torches, and they danced, and they clapped, and they did somersault. What's the big deal? Remember the Ed Sullivan show? I'm dating myself. The Gemara in Sukkah says the rabbis became entertainers. What's the big deal? A little water on the altar, and they went wild. What's going on? The Yishalmi Peah tells us of the 2 Torahs, which is more precious to Hashem. We got the written and the oral. So Yishalmi Peah says that the oral Torah is more precious to Hashem.
Great. I'm glad to hear
The oral Torah is more precious. It doesn't say why. Otherwise I'd be unemployed. The Yishalmi Peah does say, David, of the 2 Torahs, the oral Torah is more precious.
Why?
I'm glad you asked. The written Torah is written on animal skin. The oral Torah, I've got you under my skin. The oral Torah is written under my skin, on my neshama. Isn't my neshama more valuable than animal skin?
Absolutely.
So therefore, the oral Torah is more precious to Hashem because it's written on my godly soul. Now, Nisach HaMayim, what?
Where do you find the oral Torah?
The Talmud.
Okay.
The Talmud, right?
And the Talmud is the oral.
Of course. Now, Nisach HaMayim B'chag. Now, most of the oral Torah has ramozim in the written Torah. How do you say that in English? Hints. Nisach HaMayim is the only oral Torah law that has no source at all in the written Torah. It's purely oral Torah. Doesn't say anywhere, not hinted to, that on Sukkot the Kohen has to take mayim and pour it on the altar. There's no hint at all in the written Torah. Other oral Torah rules are hinted in the written. This is purely oral Torah. So that's the great simcha. It's purely oral. There's nothing in the written Torah. It's all written on my neshama. No hint on the animal skin. No hint on the animal skin. Nisach HaMayim B'chag, Yona, Zahakol b'neshama sheli. L'chein ha-simcha shal chachamim, they went wild with simcha. They became jugglers. So Shimon ben Gamliel, remember, juggled 8 torches, 8 fiery torches, to express his joy of what? Of the only halacha which is strictly, purely avi, 100% Torah Shabbal Peh. It's not written on the animal skin, it's only written on my neshama. So anyway, getting back to source number 6. So on Sukkot was a yontiv when the Jewish people brought 70 bulls as an atonement for what? For the United Nations. Even for Abu Mamzer.
UNRWA.
What? UNRWA. Even for UNRWA. And therefore, source number 7, see source number 7? When Mashiach comes, what does Zechariah say? Source number 7. Mashiach comes, there'll be a terrible war. If you look at Zechariah 14, that describes Bathsheba, a terrible war. And it says that the United Nations will gang up on Israel to try to attack Israel, and they'll suffer a terrible defeat.
Great.
The United Nations will, Zechariah 14. And look what it says in source number 7. You see that? It shall be that all who are left over, the United Nations will gang up to try to invade Jerusalem.
Boy, boy.
And they'll have suffer a terrible defeat with Gog and Magog.
Amen.
Right? And all those that are left, survivors from the nations that will try to invade Jerusalem, will come up every year to worship what? Hashem Tzavois, L'chog et Chag HaSukkot.
Wow.
Yiddish. When Mashiach comes, the United Nations will what? Celebrate Sukkot. What? L'chog et Chag HaSukkot. See number 7, Mark? Why will they celebrate Sukkot? Why? They won't celebrate Pesach. They won't celebrate Shavuos. They'll celebrate Sukkot. Somehow Sukkot is going to become a universal holiday.
Why?
I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. What? Why will Sukkot become a universal holiday?
Because rain, we need rain to...
Because everybody needs rain. Okay. That's good. I like it. Okay. And Sukkot, we pray for rain. It's a rainy season. And the Goyim also need rain. But they're going to get this other mitzvah. Now keep the 7, go to heaven. At Pesach, keep the 8, go to heaven. Shimshel Full Hirsch has a beautiful explanation. Who will attack Israel? Gog from Magog. Last time I checked on the map, there ain't no such Gog and Magog. Where's Gog and Magog?
Yeah,
Who are they?
Who are they?
Says if Shimshel, I'm glad you asked. Gog from the Gog means roof. The nations of the world think that they can build a roof and shut themselves off from Hashem. They can commit the worst evil in the world because they got a Gog, a barrier that separates them from the Father in heaven. The Gog mentality. Do what you want. I'm roofed off. Gog, Magog from the one above. There's no nation Gog. It's the Goyish mentality. When Mashiach comes, says Zechariah, the Goyim will realize you cannot be a Gog. You can't separate yourself from Hashem. You sit under the sukkah. Under the sukkah you have a schach. You have to see what? Starry, starry night. When Mashiach comes, all mankind will realize, Ray, you can't build a Gog Magog, to roof yourself off as a barrier from Hashem. All the nations will realize that all of us are under God's loving protection, symbolized by the frail sukkah with the schach, which is made out of branches. So the Goyim will come to realize that. If you look at source number 8, this is the Netziv, the Hamek Dover. You see source number 8? Because of this we are told in Zechariah chapter 14, Yesh Gam B'Yavitz, Yona, number 8. I'll read it in English, okay? Or Hebrew? What should I read it? English, thank you. Source number 8, the Hamek Dover. Because of this we are told in Zechariah 14 that in the future even the nations of the world will come on Chalamot Sukkot to stand by their sacrifices, because they will have recognized Hashem, Master of the universe. And they will know that their sustenance relies on the Sukkot offering that the Jewish nation brings on their behalf, such that were these sacrifices not to be brought, they would not receive rain. Now this lady said, everybody needs rain, right? This was done in the time of Shlomo HaMelech, and because of this, Shlomo would recite Kohelet. When did Shlomo recite Kohelet? Chalamot Sukkot.
Wow.
Before the sages of the nations. And consequently, the only name of God that is mentioned in Kohelet is what? Elohim. Elohim. Because the Goyim don't know Yud Kei Vav Kei. They only know the God of nature. How do you say nature in Hebrew? Hateva. Hateva is Gematria Avi, Elohim. Koinki Dinki. The word Hateva, nature in Hebrew is Gematria Elohim.
Rabbi Sprecher.
Yes?
What about today?
What about today?
Going to do know the same.
But a lot of them don't know. We're talking about the majority. Right? But they know Elohim. The nations were not familiar with the other names. Based on this, it has been the custom ever since to read Kohelet on Chalamot Sukkot. Because that's when Shlomo HaMelech first revealed the book on Chalamot Sukkot. Kohelet.
Everything
Rabbi, what is
life is
In that Kohelet.
Everything.
It's like a depressing book.
It is.
Why read a depressing book on a happy Yontif? Why?
Plenty to balance.
What?
Balance.
Life is so short. Life is so fleeting. Here today, gone tomorrow. Life is like a sukkah. It's frail. It's weak. It's here today, gone tomorrow. A sukkah to be kosher has to have more shade than sunlight. Right, Pesach? A sukkah has to have more shade than sunlight.
That's why you still live every day.
That's life.
That's why you live every day.
Life is frail, fragile, fleeting. In life, aren't there more shadows than sunlight? Sukkah is a symbol of life. Sounds depressing. Life is so fleeting.
He tells you how to solve every problem.
So why read such a sad book on a happy Yontif? You're right, it's not sad. Why? Since life is so fleeting and so short, I haven't got time for the pain. I haven't got time to be upset. I haven't got time to be angry. I haven't got time to be vindictive or jealous. Life is so short, it's so precious. There's no time for shtuyot. I haven't got time for the pain. It's not depressing. Because life is so short, I've got to squeeze every minute out of it.
That's great.
I don't have time to be angry with my neighbor. I haven't got time to be jealous. So it's not a sad book. Because life is so short and fleeting and frail and fragile, I've got to take advantage of it. I can't play too much with my dumb phone. Some people, their hands like attached. Their hands are, you see people go out on a date. Instead of talking to each other, they're staring at the dumb phone. I mean, it's mamish, it's obsessed.
It's sick.
It's sick. Mamish, they just can't let go.
It's like that in the homes.
They just can't let go of the dumb phone. Right? But life is so short, we don't have so much time to spend on the dumb phone. You've got to do mitzvahs and masim toivim. So the book of Gehelas is not a depressing book.
Brilliant.
It's because life is short and fragile and fleeting, I've got to milk it with doing chesed. And Rashi in Parsha Kisisa says, every time you do chesed for a fellow Jew, who are you doing chesed for, eh?
God.
The big boss. Rashi in Parsha Kisisa. We're going to read it soon by Mincha time. Notze chesed lo alafim. What does Rashi say? Notze chesed lo alafim. Says Rashi, Eze chesed she'adam oseh lefanav. Every time you smile on somebody, every time you do a kind deed to somebody, who are you doing a chesed for?
God.
HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Isn't that incredible? And smile costs no money. It doesn't cost no money to smile. Pesach, there should be a gemach for smiles. You're making someone's day. Someone's having a bad hair day, and you smile on him. You're cheering him up. And Rabbi Yona says that's why we were created, to give simcha to a fellow Jew. Anyway, let's move on and see Yona's dilemma. Is God Jewish? And what was bothering Yona and why he ran. Source number 9. Source number 9. The book of Yeshayahu. Ani Hashem krasicha b'tzedek. What's the next word? Chazek b'yodecha. I want to hold your hand. Rabbi Abraham, I couldn't make this up. I want to hold your hand. Isn't that incredible, Gabriel? God says, I will hold your hand. Makor Tesha, Yona, you see that? I, Hashem, have called you in righteousness, and I will hold your hand, and I will keep you, and give you a light, or goyim. We have to be a light unto the nations. You light up my life. But before being a light unto the nations, we have to be, David, what? A light to myself.
Right.
So what was Yona's problem, and why did he run? Look at source number 10 from Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, the chief rabbi of the British Empire. Look what he says in number 10. Number 10, universality and particularity are at the centers of Judaism. No other great faith has this structure. There is a relationship with God that we share with others, and there's a relationship with God unique to the Jewish people. At times, Jews have tended to forget one or the other of these truths, but they are both true. And Yona was only focusing that God has a relationship with us, but he ignored that God also has a relationship with what? With everybody. With everybody. Now, if you look at the book of Yona, it says, Hiya Yona b'mei hadag. Yona was in the belly of the fish. It says b'mei hadag. That's Lashon Zohar. Male. Vayi Yona b'mei hadag. Yona was in the belly of the fish. Dag is written dag. Zohar. How do they say Zohar in English? Masculine. Then later on it says Vayispalel Yona el Hashem mimei hadaga. From a female fish. What's going on?
How did he live in the
Moby Dick.
How did he
Oh, whales are big enough to swallow a person.
But how did he live? How did he breathe?
Well, there's a miracle. How did Moses live 40 days on Mount Sinai without food and water? But anyway, I want to know, how come it says b'mei hadag, and then it says b'mei hadaga? Chava, what's going on over here? I'm not making this up. You can Google it. There is a transgender fish.
Are you serious?
I'm not making this up. You can Google it. Hey Google, certain fish can change their sex without a sex change operation.
It's also amphibians.
Huh? I'm not making this up. You can Google it.
Also amphibians. There's certain species amphibians.
Ha-fochba the kulaba, David. What does the Mishnah say? Turn it over and turn it. Everything you want to know about everything is where? In the Torah. So even a transgender fish is in the book of Yona. First it says dog, and then it says hadaga.
I never heard that.
Good thing you came today. Your grandpa would be proud, Raphael ben Moshe.
Yeah, and I can't
But you can check the text. We're reading it on Maftir Yona. It says dag, then it says daga, hafochba, vafochba, the kulaba. That there are certain fish that can change their sex. Isn't that incredible? Without a sex change operation.
Well, how long was he in the stomach?
How long was he there? 3 days.
Holy
3 days. Now, why did Yona run away? Look at side number 2. Look at side number 2. Why did Yona run away? Pasuk bet. Yona, Mispalel al Hashem, he says, I know, God, that you are a Rachum v'chanun. I know, God, you're a softie. You're a loving sugar daddy. I know. Ki ato el chanun v'rachim erech apayim pasuk bet v'nichem al hara. I know that you're a big softie. And therefore I ran, because it would reflect negatively on Am Yisrael. The Jewish people, Yona told them to do tshuva. It went in one ear, out the other. And these Ninevanites are going to do tshuva. Yona would be a mekatrek on the Klal Yisrael. And he didn't want that. He didn't want that. God says, V'rachamav al kol masav. God's mercy extends not just for the Jewish people. Al kol masav. Now, look at Pasuk Hey. Vayetze Yona. So Yona thought that God only cares about what? Am Yisrael. He's not concerned about the one. Look at Pasuk Hey on side number 2. You have that? Vayetze Yona min ha'ir, vayeshev mikedem le'ir, Yona vayaslo sham sukkah. Pesach. Why did he make a sukkah for? And why tell me about it? Didn't we just say that Sukkah is a universal holiday? Yeah. Sukkah is the holiday that shows that God cares for all mankind. Not like Yona thought that God only cares for Am Yisrael. Vayeshav sham sukkah.
Sprecher.
What? A sukkah that Hashem is God, v'rachamav al kol masav. God's mercy extends to what? To all mankind. Not just to what? Am Yisrael, yes?
What time period actually was?
This was in the days, who was Yona? Yona was a Talmud of...
Elisha.
No, don't mix me up. Chavakuk was a Talmud of Elisha. Chavakuk was a Talmud of Elisha. Yona was the dead child that Eliyahu Novi resurrected.
You're kidding.
Chavakuk is a dead child that Elisha resurrected. Chavakuk means the hugged one. That's Elisha and the Shanamit. But earlier, Eliyahu had also revived a dead child, and that child was what? Was Yona ben Amittai, a Talmud of Eliyahu Hanavi. But anyway, take a look. So what did God make? So the sun was beating down on him, and God made what plant grow on his head? Kikion. Kikion? What's a kikion? That's a castor oil plant. Who cares what kind of plant it was? Why tell me about a castor oil plant? God was telling him to, don't be so uptight. Loosen up. Have some compassion for non-Jews as well. Have compassion for all people. So the kikion is a castor oil plant. Yona, don't be so uptight.
Loosen up. Take some castor oil.
Loosen up. Have some compassion for non-Jews as well, even for the LGBT community. The LGBT community. You know what that stands for? Lubavitch, Ger, Breslov, and Telz. LGBT community, right? Again, Lubavitch, Ger, Breslov, and Telz, right? Hashem is telling Yona, I'm not only the God of the Jews. My love and compassion extends to all human beings. God tells Isaiah, we're going to read it in the Haftorah. David, we're going to read the Haftorah in a few minutes. Mincha time. Ki beisi beis tefillah, yikore lecholo amim. The Haftorah for Tanis Tibor. God says, my house is a house of prayer. Yikore lecholo amim. What does that mean? All nations, not just the Jewish people. All nations. God calls all nations to pray to him, not just us. There's an amazing Rambam in the end of Shemitah V'Yovel. Shevet Levi is Kodesh Kadoshim.
Shevet Levi.
Yuda's a Levi, I'm not a Levi.
Me too, I'm a Levi.
You're a Levi, you're Kodesh Kadoshim. What am I, chopped liver? I wasn't born a Levi. Chanoch. I wasn't born a Levi.
I was.
Says the Rambam in the end of Shemitah V'Yovel, V'lo Shevet Levi Bovad. Not only Shevet B'Levi, Elo kol ish mikol boy oilam. Yiddish Yudah. Any person mikol boy oilam. What does that mean? Not Jew. Any person that comes in the world. He doesn't say Jew. Mikol boy oilam. Every person who walks the face of the earth. Asher nodvei ruchoi lamoid lifnei Hashem. Whose heart wants him, he should stand in front of God, to minister and to serve God, l'deyat Hashem, to know God, v'halach yashar. You ask anybody for directions in Israel, they say yashar, adasof. V'halach yashar, k'mo she'oso lehim, harei zeh nitkadesh kodesh kadoshim, v'hi Hashem chelkoi v'nachlosoi, lo'olam lo'olam elamim. The Rambam, an amazing Rambam, the end of Shemitah V'Yovel, he says any human being, not just Jew, who dedicates his life to serve God and to be a servant of Hashem and to walk yashar as God made him, he is Kodesh Kadoshim, and the Hashem Chelkoim Nachloseh, God becomes his portion and his inheritance. La'olam u'la'olmei alamim. What does that mean?
Even if he's not,
Forever, forever.
if he's not Jewish,
If he's not Jewish.
if he's a Muslim,
Any human being, Mikol Boilam, who dedicates his life to serve Hashem, keep the 7, go to heaven, trust in Hashem, he is called Kodesh Kadoshim. How do you say that in English? Holy of Holies, and Hashem is his portion, La'olam, La'olmei Alamim, forever and ever. So you see that God is not just the God of Israel, but he loves all mankind. The God of all
he
mankind.
loves us the most.
That's right. But he's concerned for all, even the Ninevanites. If you look at the last pasuk on side number 2, pasuk Yud. So Yona felt bad when the castor oil plant was eaten up by worms, and he felt bad. So Hashem said to him in pasuk Yud, you have Rahmanas on the castor oil plant. You didn't work for it. You didn't do anything. And pasuk Yud Aleph, and I shouldn't have compassion on Nineveh. Pasuk Yud Aleph, Ir Hagdolah, that has more than 120,000 people that don't know their right from the left.
What was their religion?
They were pagans. But God loves all mankind. You see pasuk Yud Aleph? And I shouldn't have Rahmanis on Nineveh, the Ir Hagdolah, that has more than 120,000 people that don't know. They're never famished. They don't know what's right and what's wrong. They're brainwashed by MTV. Have compassion even for non-Jews, for all people. That's what Hashem was teaching Yona. So Yona was trying to escape. Hashem wanted him to do outreach to Goyim. He didn't want, right? You can run, but you can't hide. Remember that song? Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Why did Yona run? It would reflect negatively on Am Yisrael. The Yidden are not doing tshuva. And the Goyim are, so he would be a prosecuting agent against Am Yisrael. So he ran. And he also that he knew that in 100 years from now, they will exile the 10 tribes. So Yona felt responsible for Israel's safety, so he ran to protect Am Yisrael.
Wow.
So he tries to escape in 3 ways. Number 1, he disguises himself. He charters a love boat, he disguises himself. Reminds me of the story of Yankel from Meir Shurim. You ever heard of Yankel? Now, all my stories are true, but some did not happen yet.
Okay.
It's a day before Yom Kippur. It's a day after Yom Kippur, Slicha. And Yankel from Chusset from Meir Shorim is heavily in debt. And someone told him there's a place called Las Vegas, where he can win a lot of money. So he figures it's a day after Yom Kippur, all of his sins are atoned for. So listen, he'll try his luck in the casinos and make some money. He has 13 children, he can't pay his bills. So Yankel, they tell him, go to Las Vegas, you can make a lot of money in the slot machines. But Yankel, you can't go with your shtreimel and your kapata. So you have to take off your shtreimel, cut off your beard and payas, put on a Hawaiian shirt with Bermuda shorts. Otherwise you can't go to Las Vegas, right? So Nebuch, with a heavy heart, it's a day after Yom Kippur, Yiddish Pesach. A heavy heart, he's in debt. Yankel the Chusset from Meir Shorim cuts off his beard and payas, takes off his shtreimel, and takes off his kapata, puts on an Hawaiian shirt with Bermuda shorts, and he goes to Las Vegas. 13 children. He can't pay his debts. He has to marry off 9 daughters. Not like Tevye 5, 9. So they're told he can make a lot of money in the casinos. So he's in the airport. He's getting his luggage. He got his luggage. Remember, he's wearing now Bermuda shorts with a wine shirt, no beard and payas, right? He's running, he gets his luggage, he trips, he falls down 5 flights of stairs. And he breaks both legs. And he's lying there in the airport, and he looks up, he says, Hashem, Hashem, what did you do to me? I didn't get a chance to get out of the airport. So God says, Yankel, is that you? I didn't recognize you. Bermuda shorts, Hawaiian shirt. Yankel, is that you? I didn't recognize you. So anyway, Yona disguises himself, right? He puts on Bermuda shorts, physical escape, right? And on the ship, he goes to sleep. That's escapism. Yona's in denial. He attempts to escape from reality. And the third ultimate escape is what? Suicide. He says, throw me overboard. Throw me overboard. Right? Yona ben Amitai, the captain of the ship, says, Malacha nirdam. Why are you sleeping? Now, I don't need to know what the captain of the love boat said to Yona 2,900 years ago. Why tell me about it? Chano, who's the captain?
Who is the captain?
Captain, oh my captain. The captain of the universe says, Malacha nirdam. Why are you sleeping? Get up. It's time to do tshuva. The captain of the universe. Malacha nirdam. We're all in a stupor. And the captain of the universe is saying, Malacha nirdam. Wake up and do tshuva. Now Yona tried to commit suicide. But that's against the Torah.
It's a big sin,
right?
to do.
But Moshe Rabbeinu said, Mecheni no mesifach. Didn't Moshe Rabbeinu say, if you don't forgive the Jewish people, kill me? Yona was willing to sacrifice his life not to be mekatreg on Am Yisrael. How do you say that in English? To accuse Am Yisrael. It's like Moshe Rabbeinu. To give up his own life, not to prosecute Am Yisrael. Because the Yidden are not doing tshuva, and these guys are, it will reflect negatively on what? On the Jewish people. Now, he tells them, he's on the ship with a bunch of cutthroat pirates.
Right.
You know, the love boat, the crew. They're not the most moral people.
Right.
Sailor Sam. He says, B'sheli hasar hagodel hazeh aleichem. It's my fault that Hurricane Yona is going to drown the ship. But Baron Kotler said, what do you mean, B'sheli? He's a Haredi rabbi, a Navi Hashem. He's on the boat with lowlifes. How come he says, B'sheli, it's my fault that the hurricane is going to what? Smash the ship. Why?
Well, they asked him, is it? They asked him.
Why did he say, what are the cutthroats? So Baron Kotler, that's how. Lo Yaleinu, when the tragedy happens, Lo Yaleinu, a frum Jew shouldn't point fingers. He should point to himself. We know better. B'sheli asar godel hazeh aleichem. So Yonah said, it's my fault. It's my fault. I know better. You guys never had the education. So he's willing to sacrifice his life to save Israel. Nineveh does tshuva, but Israel doesn't. Right? All of us are Yona. We're racked with self-doubt, trying to run away from our responsibilities and tasks. The flight of the Yona. Where do I fit in? There's a pasuk in Shir Hashirim. God calls us Yonoti. How do you say Yonoti? My Yona. God says, you're my lovebird. The Yona is loyal to me. The Yona comes back to its mate. The Yona, right? You know, the Yona never leaves its mate. They're magnamonious. What the word? Magnomonia? Monogamous, thank you. Right? The Yona never leaves its mate. So God calls us Yonoti. My Yona. The pigeon, the turtle dove. All of us, like Yona, we attempt to escape from ourselves. Remember that song? Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. You can't run away from Hashem. You can't escape from your obligations in life. We got to do our mission. Just like Yona tried to escape from his mission, but in the end he was what? Forced to do his mission. So all of us are forced to do our mission.
I love that.
And it's never too late. Never give up. We all have a unique destiny that only what? We can fulfill.
That's great.
You can pay me now or you can pay me later. According to the Zohar, the book of Yonah is the book of Gilgal. You try to run away from your destiny. If you don't do it now, you'll do it later. Right? Yonah goes into the whale. The whale, it's dark, it's dank, reminds you of what? Of a grave. And he re-emerges again. That's the secret of reincarnation. All of us have a destiny that only we can do. And if we don't do it, Hashem will bring us back again and again until we what? We do it. It's amazing that the Shar Tzion in Hilchos Yom Kippur, he brings this down. You know? It's amazing. The Chofetz Chaim, the Mishnah Brura, brings why do you read the book of Yonah on Yom Kippur? He says the book of the Mishnah Brura talking about Gilgal. Wow. He's a cold halacha man. And the Shar Tzion, Hilchos Yom Kippurin, he says, the Mishnah Brura, the Chofetz Chaim, the Shar Tzion, he writes, we read the book of Yonah on Yom Kippur to teach the doctrine of Gilgal. You think you can escape your mission?
That's great.
You can't escape. You can pay me now or you can pay me later.
Oh,
all of us have a mission that only I can do. Im ein, Sfas Emes says, Im ein, the Mishnah says, Im ein anili mili. If I don't do it, no one can do it. There are many other Nevi'im. Why didn't God have another Navi? Why did he have Yonah?
That's gorgeous.
No one can do it my way. Just like my fingerprints are unique, my tafkid in life, my mission in life is unique. And no one can do it my way. So no other Navi will do. Michael, if I won't do it, no one will do it. That's the message of Yonah. Yonah goes down. It says Yonah yorad. He goes down into the bottom of the ship. It's a yerida letzorech aliyah. Sometimes you have to go down in order to what? To come up again.
So Rabbi Sprecher.
Yonah is all of us. All of us is Yonah. What?
So we're saying, so the reasons why Navi resurrected him. Maybe Navi knew that he had to come back to
why? He was the dead child. That's right. Yonah ben Amittai. He was the dead child that Eliyahu Navi resurrected him. Beautiful, Mark said, because no one can do that mission.
So maybe Navi knew.
No other Navi could do it. Just like my fingerprints are tailor-made for me, my tafkid, my mission in life, and no one can do it my way. So therefore, Yonah had to be resurrected by Eliyahu Hanavi.
This rabbi is the greatest mikvah. Listen.
Please, no eulogies, please. No eulogies, please.
And it's very deep. And
No.
listen to everything he says because it's 100% true.
Now Yonah, he had a mission. Listen how God works in mysterious ways. If he wouldn't have run away, what about all those sailors on the ship, Avi? All of those sailors on the ship that converted.
They converted?
They could, yeah.
Where
The
did-
Talmud says they converted. They became God-fearing people. Now, if Yona wouldn't have escaped to that ship, they would have remained pagan lowlifes.
Wow.
So Yona had to run away in order to rehabilitate these pagans on the ship who became God-fearing people. Look how God works in mysterious ways. He had to save those sailors through tshuva. If he would have listened to Hashem right away, those sailors would have died low-life pagan bums. But because he ran away, they saw what Hashem did to him. You know, all the ships in the ocean was sailing fine. The hurricane was only what? Hurricane Yona was only on that ship. The sailors saw that. The Talmud says all of the ships were sailing peacefully.
Are you serious?
Only Hurricane Yona was affected, that ship. So the sailors freaked out. They all became Gershomot.
I can't believe it.
Not Jewish, keep the seven, go to heaven. They became God-fearing people.
They became Noahide.
They became Noachites. But if Yona would have listened to Hashem Chava, these guys would have died pagans. So he had to run. Don't you see how every sin can become a win?
That's gorgeous.
Hashem had it planned. These sailors had to be rescued through tshuva. It's never too late to do tshuva.
Gorgeous.
What a message. You can run, but you can't hide. So Yona is all of us. That outreach even to non-Jews. Right? There's an amazing Rambam in Sefer HaMitzvot by Pesach. You ever read the Rambam Sefer HaMitzvot? Mitzvah Gimel. Mitzvah Gimel is to love Hashem your God. Love Hashem your God. We say it twice a day in Shema. How do you love Hashem your God? There are many ways. Says Rambam, one way to love Hashem your God is teach the Noachites the 7 Noachide laws. The Rambam in Sefer HaMitzvah says the way to love Hashem is to teach the Goyim the Noachide religion. Because if you teach them the Noachide religion, you're sharing God with the world.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We have to keep the 613. They only have to keep the 7 to go to heaven.
No, it's one.
So to teach the Noachide religion to Goyim, says Rambam, you are loving Hashem. Yona had to learn that message the hard way. God cares for all mankind, not just for Am Yisrael. And even for sinners. But even for sinners, right? Look at the last pasuk on side number 2. Pasuk Yud Aleph. God said, you have Rachmanis on the Kikiyon. Pasuk Yud. You have Rachmanis on the Kikiyon, side 2. Vani loy ochus al ninvei. Irak dola. Ashe yoshva ba harbe mishtem esrei bo. More than 120,000 people that don't know what right from wrong. And also many animals. God's compassion extends even to what? Now, if you just came to hear this, we still have 5 minutes, so more. Animal rights in Judaism. Sukkot. Sukkot teaches us that animals have rights in Judaism. Should I repeat that, Chanor? How Judaism cares for animal rights is contained in the mitzvah of Sukkah. How? I'm glad you asked. In Parashat Vayeshev, it says Yaakov came to a place and he built Sukkot. Therefore, he called the name of the place Sukkot. Very nice. 3,800 years ago, Rabbi Yaakov came to a place, wherever the place is, and he built huts for his animals. Therefore, he named the place Sukkot. Says the Medrash, therefore, we have a Yom Tov of what? It makes sense to you? Again, I'm not making this up. Yaakov came to a place for, what does it say? Ulemikne also Sukkot, ulemikne, for his cattle, for his livestock, he made Sukkot. Alkein kora amokam ahu Sukkot. Very important. 38 years ago, Yaakov came to a place, he built a sheep pen and a barn and huts for his livestock. Therefore, he called the name of the place Sukkot, the Torah says. And the Medrash says, therefore, we have a Yom Tov called what? What's it all about? Says your what?
He didn't build barns for the animals.
Sukkot.
Yeah, but, right.
Sukkot means huts.
Great head.
So therefore he named the place Sukkot. It's very important. I have to know that 3,800 years later, Avi. The Torah is GPS, not history. And therefore the Medrash says we have a Yom Tov Sukkot. Says the Archaim HaKadosh. Yaakov made a public display of building huts for his animals. Because people were abusing their animals in the cold and the heat. He made a public display that you have to care for your animals. In the winter and the summer, you have to give them shelter. So Yaakov publicized that you're not allowed to do Tsar Balachayim. And that's tied to the Yom Tov of Sukkot. That God's compassion extends not just to human beings, but to all animals. The Yom Tov of Sukkot. Yaakov publicized that. Have compassion on your animals. Don't leave them out in the cold. Don't leave them out in the heat. Build huts. And therefore we have a Yom Tov of Sukkot. Sukkot is a universality, that God is not just concerned with Am Yisrael, not just concerned with people, but his compassion extends to what? Animals as well. The Yom Tov of Sukkot teaches me the concept of Tsar Balachayim, which is a Torah violation. And it goes so far. The Gemara Brachos tells us that you cannot sit down to breakfast, lunch, and dinner unless you what? You feed your animal first.
Really?
So mental anguish, not just physical cruelty. When the animal sees that you're eating and she's not, it has mental anguish. So Torah is even concerned with the mental anguish of an animal. That you have to feed your animal before what? You eat. Therefore, great tzaddikim would buy pets. A tzaddik needs a pet.
No.
Why would they buy pets, Rabbi Yaakov? To do the mitzvah. To do the mitzvah. Feeding your animal before you. The famous story of the Netziv. The Netziv came home from Rosh Hashanah davening. It was late Rosh Hashanah davening. Everybody's hungry. But they had to feed the chickens. But they lost the key to the chicken coop. So they couldn't eat lunch on Rosh Hashanah. They're hungry until they fed the chickens. But they lost the key to the chicken coop. So they had to find a non-Jew to break the lock on Yom Tov, which is normally not allowed, but Tsar Balachayim overrides a Shvus Rabbanan. Only when they broke the lock, a goy broke the lock on Yom Tov, they fed the chickens, surely only then did they what? Make Kiddush. Ad Kedei Kach. Sukkot is the holiday of Tsar Balachayim, of amazing Archaim HaKadosh. I know you like the Archaim HaKadosh. It says Yaakov made a public display of showing kindness to animals, setting up an animal shelter from the heat and from the cold. Yes?
Sukkot has the most carbonos.
That's right, for the nation, we learned that. 70 carbonos, that is a universal holiday that we sacrifice for the nations of the world.
It's not a time to talk about.
What?
It's a time to talk about kindness to animals when they have so many carbonos.
They're also God's creatures.
There's so many carbonos.
The carbonot, they're doing their tafkid. The carbonot. Shchita is the most humane way to kill an animal. Shchita, the animal loses consciousness in 2 seconds. If the knife had a nick in it, the animal's nevela. Why? Because if the knife had a nick, the animal suffered. That's nevela, you can't eat it. It has to be razor sharp. So there's no pain. If the animal suffered because the knife has a nick, you can't eat it, it's nevela.
He gives off a special kind of a liquid in his body.
Yeah.
Poisonous.
Yeah?
Yeah, when he's in pain.
That's right, that's nevela. That's right, yes?
Now there's a big debate going on about genetically gene-grown kosher lab meat now.
I don't know about that. But anyway,
Interesting subject.
we have to know that God's compassion, v'rachamav al kol ma'asav, God's compassion extends to all of his creatures. And not just humans, as we see with the whole Yom Tov of Sukkot, according to Archaim HaKadosh. The Yom Tov of Sukkot teaches what? Kindness to animals. So Yaakov built a sukkah. And the Torah calls it Sukkos. Amazing.
And God tells the...
And the Torah publicized that. Therefore he called it Sukkot. Guess?
God tells the Goyim to come here on Sukkot.
That's right.
To help us.
To help us, right?
Yeah. And that's going to give them...
That's a universal holiday where the roof comes off, the Gog comes off. No more Gog Magog. You can't roof yourself off from him. Right. We're all under God's loving protection.
Oh,
the frail sukkah, we have to see the stars. The stars represent the Shekhinah. The Ananei HaKavod.